presentation will be recorded, which I'm just starting right now. And other than that, yeah, I'll let Carolyn and Alex take over.
All right, thank you, Corey, and welcome everyone. I love that we have a more intimate group this afternoon. This will give us all, you know, an opportunity to ask questions if you have any, and we can make this more tailored to maybe some of the projects you may be working on. So everybody knows my name is Carolyn Kiesner, and I'm presenting with my colleague Alex Sloan. Alex, feel free to wave. We are both with Willdan. Again, I hope everyone's staying cool out there. I know it's 110 degrees in Sacramento. I don't know, I know there's like a heat wave going across California, so I hope everyone's staying cool and inside today. So I wanted to just jump right in and try to make this a little more interactive and engaging with the group. I wanted to ask a question to the group. Feel free to either just raise your hand in the video, you know, raise your hand in the emoji, or just type in hand raised in the chat. But the first question I wanted to ask was, raise your hand if you have recently passed a bond and you have so much bond money that you don't know what to do with it all. Anybody? Okay, thought so. Okay, not surprised that we didn't have any hands raised. Now, next question is, raise your hand if you have all brand new facilities and have zero maintenance and facility needs. Anybody? All brand new facilities. Okay, got it. Didn't think so. So I asked these questions, you know, these somewhat outlandish questions for a reason. It really leads into our topic of today of finding pathways to help fund some of your facility and maintenance needs. I think we all know that districts everywhere are challenged with managing really old facilities with close to no funding to upgrade any of your facilities. So without a bond, what are you to do? You know, what are your options to fund some of these needs that you have? And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So my part of the presentation today will focus on some funding opportunities that the districts, that your district could tap into. And then later on, Alex will be talking more about a program that he oversees with the utility that helps tap into incentives and offers free resources to districts. So we do have, at the end of the presentation, there'll be a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway with just a fun trivia question we'll have at the end. So feel free to stay tuned. And I think with the timing we have, Alex and I will only be presenting for about 20-25 minutes, which should give everyone time, you know, to ask questions along the way, okay? All right, so just a little bit about Willdan. So everybody knows Willdan, we are a proud platinum member of SSDA. We love helping small school districts. We know you have very unique challenges. You know, I'm sure the people on the call, you wear many different hats and look over many different things outside of your title. So we are so happy to help this organization and its members. In terms of what we do, we consider ourselves problem solvers, and we are really here to help transform environments and be partners to any district we work with in facility design, planning, and implementation. We have over 400 professionals in energy, engineering, construction, and financial consulting throughout California. We're headquartered in Anaheim, California, and Alex and I are both located in Northern California. And so just to mention too, everything we are going to talk about today will be through the lens of energy, because that's essentially the funding sources I'll be going through have a focus around energy improvements, and there's a reason for that, and I'll be going into that more in the presentation. Okay, so facility challenges school districts face. This might be obvious to you all, but on the left, I have a box that kind of outlines some of the facilities challenges you have. So older roofs, aging HVAC, older lights, lack of building control, site safety. I know this is the smallest of a laundry list that you have, whether it's just upgraded paint, new parking lots, just issues throughout your facilities. I think we all know that these facility challenges really impact, have a large impact throughout the district. So it really decreases student and staff comfort. All of a sudden, your buildings aren't code compliant. These challenges impact safety. These challenges increase maintenance time and costs, and then they also increase energy usage as well. So the key takeaway on this slide is just how aging infrastructure really impacts comfort, safety, compliance, and your general fund. So the question is, with all these challenges, how do we fund it? Show me the money. So that's what we're going to be talking about next, is just these different, just giving you some ideas around some funding opportunities that are out there that you can tap into. So what we'll be talking about today is some of the obvious funding that's out there with the ESSER funding and the American Rescue Plan Act funding. We'll also be talking about AB 841. Some of you might be aware of that funding as well. We'll talk about zero interest loans, low interest loans, and then Alex will be talking more about a utility incentive program that he is overseeing. So the federal funding, and I won't talk too much about this slide, but you're all aware of the CARES Act funding and the ARPA funding. So for most districts, that ESSER 1 funding, I think everyone has used that funding for the most part. There is the ESSER 2 funding that will, the deadline for that is September 30th, 2022. And then now we're kind of in that third tier of what I still call like the ESSER 3 funding, where the deadline will be to use that funding by September 30th, 2023. And the reason I bring this funding up, I feel that I talk with a lot of districts where this funding is being used for so many different things, so many different priorities, but I've been talking to more and more districts where we've been looking at how to carve some of that funding out to address some of the facility needs that the district has. And, you know, I think we've talked through, can these funds be used for facility needs? And for the most part, the funds, what we found is that these funds, it's possible to use this for the facility needs since they will be funding to effectively maintain the health and safety of students, staff, and educators. So I didn't know, I assume everyone on the call is probably using some of this funding for facility needs. I don't know if we can get head nods or anyone in the chat, but I assume, yes, okay, so the Renee, yeah, so it seems that I think everyone's looking at ways to use this for facility needs. Another funding source I wanted to talk about is California AB 841. This was passed in September of 2020. They've actually renamed, the California Energy Commission has renamed this program, but it's essentially funding under the program of California Schools Healthy Air, Plumbing, and Efficiency Program. So within this program, there are two programs. So the first one is their CalShape Ventilation Program, which is focused on HVAC system assessments, repairs, maintenance, upgrades, and replacements. The second program within the CalShape program is for their plumbing program, which will be focused on replacing the plumbing fixtures and appliances to help meet water efficiency standards throughout California. So the program is there, okay, but I wanted to share what we know now about this program. So there's quite a bit of money being sent to this program, and the first round is going to be $275 million. And I think what I want to say before I list anything else is the guidelines are still being finalized for this program. Everything I'm sharing with you now, it's what we know, but could be subject to change once everything's finalized. So what we know about the first round is there's $275 million. The LEA must, for this first round, the LEA must be located on the disadvantaged community map. So it doesn't have to be the whole district, but the different sites have to be on the disadvantaged community map or serve over 75% free and reduced lunch for the first round of funding. So if you are on the disadvantaged community map, this first round of funding is something you should track. But I will say if you're not in that category, then this round of funding won't do much for you, okay? And I will say this first round, what we know is that it will be limited to facility assessments and smaller repairs. So that's the first round. Now, the second round of funding, we're told it's looking like it's going to be around $325 million. The second round will be open to all districts, not just those located in the disadvantaged communities. And this round will be really slated to address larger HVAC replacements or direct replacements, whereas that first round can't or does not address those. So in terms of the second round, the timing for those funds are currently unknown. I was told that the second round won't be issued until the first round is used up. So right now the timing for the second round is unknown. So I think the biggest takeaway here is if you are located in a disadvantaged community, really start tracking this, track that first round. But it is overall, AB 841 is something that you should just be aware of, that you can apply for once the applications are open. So in terms of logistics around applying, the CEC is still creating an online application portal. Right now, you can go on and register your district for the application, but there's no application to apply for at this time. And they actually have a really great video of where you can go and how you can register. So I highly recommend checking that out if you have not yet. All right, other opportunities for funding. So there are 0% and low interest loans out there. And I was going to talk through just a few of them. So in terms of 0 interest loans, we have the one loan I want to talk about is the California Energy Commission loan. It's a 0% loan. The max is $3 million. And the requirements of the loan is that the project pays for itself over 20 years. And it is an energy loan, so they have to have energy savings related to the upgrades. In terms of the availability right now, it is a very competitive loan. And it closed the last program closed in August of 2020, but this is a revolving fund, so it will get funded again. And it's a revolving fund because it's such a successful program. So this is a program that we suggest that people track and prepare for. We anticipate another round of funding to open up later on this year. But that is something that districts can use. And again, it's 0% interest. Another loan that actually Alex will talk about more is the 0% on-bill financing through PG&E. I think we have a couple districts on the call that are within PG&E. And so that's a 0% loan that you pay through your utility bill. And again, it requires the project to pay for itself over a 10-year period. Okay, so there is a difference where on-bill financing only allows that 10-year payback period, where the California Energy Commission loan, they allow for a 20-year payback period. Okay, those are the 0% interest loans. Now, there's also low interest tax exempt lease purchase loans out there. And this is a low interest loan that does not go against the district's credit. Okay, and that's why I think a lot of districts consider this type of loan. And what's interesting right now is the rates are low. So if your district has good credit, we've seen rates as low as 2.35% in the last 6 months. Obviously, these are subject to change, but interest rates are really low right now, which is just really exciting to see. And with these low interest loans, you can have terms up anywhere from 15 to 30 years. So you can spread that loan over 30 years if that's something the district is interested. And I think the most exciting part about this loan is it's not considered a debt to the district. Okay. So now I wanted to share a slide on, oops, for some reason, okay, there it goes. Whoops, okay, computer's being a little slow. Okay, I did want to share a slide on how these loans work. So I don't know if anyone on the call has evaluated an energy project before, but what the reasons other districts utilize these types of loans and programs is because it doesn't have a need for upfront capital costs. And so why is that? So depending on the loan program, it can be from anywhere from 10 to 30 years over time. And the way it works is you have your utility bill, right? So you have the bill you're paying to PG&E, SDG&E, SCE, and that's a certain amount, okay? When you do a program that addresses certain facility needs that save energy, okay, so HVAC, lighting, maybe you evaluate renewables like solar, but that program will generate savings, and that savings is kind of this section here. So because you'll save that energy, you'll be saving those dollars, and instead of paying those savings to the utility, you end up using those savings to pay for your loan. Okay, and that's essentially just the general gist of how these loans and energy programs work. In terms of the savings itself, so the idea is you pay for the savings, and over time, those savings just go back to your general fund, okay, especially when the loan is paid off. Those are just savings the district gets back to the general fund. Now, other things to consider, and the reason I brought up the ESSER funding and the AB 841 funding, and then, or maybe you do have some bond money, those funds can help really buy down the loan, which increases these savings over time. And then something else to consider that can help help these projects cash flow and these funding streams cash flow is considering deferred maintenance money. So for example, if you change out 20 units at your district, you no longer are using maybe 50,000 of deferred maintenance funds every year to address those older units. And so that $50,000 could be considered savings as a part of the project, if that makes sense. So with that, that's really what I wanted to share as a part of the kind of funding options. Were there any questions up until this point? And again, we only have a few people on the call, so I'm happy to take any questions now, or we can save them for the end of the call. All righty. Okay, well then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Alex Sloan. So Alex is our program manager for our PG&E Government and K-12 Energy Efficiency Program. So Willdan was selected by PG&E to help manage this, what we call the GK12 program. And what this program is, it gives districts access to incentives and free resources to develop energy-related facility projects at no cost to do the development work. So the projects identified through these programs can definitely leverage the funding streams that I already talked about. And then I recognize not everybody here is a part of PG&E. So, you know, as a part of this presentation, we did want to let everybody know that if you're not in PG&E territory, please feel free to stay on the line, because we as Willdan are still very willing to offer the same level of support for those not in PG&E territory. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over to Alex.
All right, thanks so much, Carolyn. And yeah, to the point, if there are folks that are not within PG&E territory, some of this information might still apply. So each of the utilities in California have their own versions of energy efficiency programs. You know, Willdan is one implementer, but we can always work with you and put you in touch with the right folks, and then of course support your needs tangentially with the program as well. So yeah, I guess just to kick it off, would love to give an overview of the program we're running with PG&E. So the aim of the program is really to help the public sector at large with lowering energy expenditures while improving comfort and reducing maintenance costs. So that's one of the great things about energy efficiency, is that, you know, it's not just a bill reduction, but there are many positive attributes that get added to projects we pursue as well. So we are calling it GK12, not the most creative name, but it's an acronym for Government and K-12 Schools, which we serve through the program. So primary program offerings, which I'm going to cover in more detail a little bit later. We offer incentives, financial support, so finding ways to help get the projects funded, including some of the paths that Carolyn mentioned. And then technical services. So we have a staff of over 200 engineers in California that are here to support technical needs. And yeah, best part is that these core functions of the program come at no cost to customers. So lastly, the program is available throughout all of PG&E's service territory. Carolyn, if you go to the next slide. So another, just a bit of background about why these programs exist. So California's had energy efficiency programs running since the 70s, and it's become an important part of our whole state's initiative to reduce energy. You know, one of the phrases that gets tossed around in the industry is the cheapest KWH is the one that's never used. So that remains true to this day. There are lots of opportunities still existing within facilities, and energy efficiency is often the most affordable way to save. So by pursuing energy efficiency, an important aspect is that we're avoiding really costly infrastructure upgrades. So for example, instead of needing to build a new natural gas peaker plant or large industrial battery storage system, which is becoming more commonplace now, the state of California and all the utilities put money towards energy efficiency projects to offset those needs. So instead of building a new power plant, we can just put in a bunch of insulation and upgrade our HVAC units and whatnot. So each of these programs are regulated by the Public Utilities Commission. And then more recently, there's been a transition from utilities like PG&E to have certain programs implemented by third parties like Willdan. So in the past, PG&E would craft, construct, design, and implement most of their programs. And now there are opportunities for more third parties like Willdan to come in. And that's sort of how we came to the forefront through a competitive bidding process. And I guess last note is that the programs are funded through public purpose surcharge. So every month on your PG&E bill, there's a small surcharge for public purpose program funds. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of eligibility, our program covers various program entities, public entities, but we're of course focused on schools here today. So any K-12 school that receives public funding is going to be eligible through our program. Private schools, unfortunately, are not. I'm not sure if there's any private districts on the line, but we can always refer to another EE program. But we also do serve cities and counties and federal facilities as well. On the right, we have the main criteria to enroll. So number one is having an active PG&E account. So most of the time, if you have at least one PG&E account, you'll have it for both electric and gas. But in a scenario where, for example, if you're in Sacramento and have PG&E gas only and have SMUD electric, we can still support you for all the gas-related measures. And then we talked about the public purpose surcharge, which everyone pays by default. And then the last main requirement is to make sure that we're not refunding any projects for the same measure that have been completed in the last 5 years. Okay, next slide. Okay. So here's some of the features of the program to get a little bit more into the details. So, first we start off with an identification of energy savings opportunities within the facility. So one of our program engineers will come in and conduct an assessment to uncover which areas are most likely to result in savings. And then from there, we will discuss potential ways to fund the project. So we offer financial support. One of the things that was mentioned earlier was on-bill financing. So this is a PG&E offering. And what it does is allow public entities to receive 0% interest loan from PG&E. Again, the loan is repaid each month through the PG&E bill using the savings that come from the project. So it's a really great way to stay, bill neutral and, can be considered off balance sheet since everything is paid right through your PG&E bill, which gets paid each month anyways. So we of course provide cash incentives as well. So for products that are installed that drive efficiency, we're able to offer some cash incentives to help reduce those upfront costs. And the incentives can actually be paired with financing as well to limit the loan amounts, as long as the total amount's under $250,000 with OBF. And then lastly, our program approach is to try to stay as flexible as possible when it comes to working with various vendors. So we are more than happy to work with your preferred contractor if you have one, or help to identify one for you as well. And it's also mentioned here self-install. So we actually are just launching a new promotion for self-installed T8 LED lamps. So if your facility still has, you know, some fluorescent lighting, fluorescent T8 tubes, you know, let's talk. We have a great promotion running right now that can cover most, if not all, the costs of those change outs.
I'm going to chime in and say that that's actually a really very lucrative incentive that they're giving out right now. And I know it's only available for so much time, but if you have a facility staff that knows how to change out lamps and has the time to do that, to get this and to get that practically for free, it's just a really nice offering that the program is doing right now. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. Limited time, so. Okay, and then here's the typical progression for projects that we'll bring in. So again, first step is to get enrolled. So, you know, we'll just kick it off with a conversation, learn a little bit more about your facility and your pain points, any past, you know, projects or initiatives. And then from there, we'll move forward with conducting a field audit. If you've already pursued, you know, an energy audit in the past or are working with another contractor or vendor, we are more than happy to work with them as well, so we can review any past work that's been done or any recommendations, and you know, provide our program's recommendation for enhancing efficiency, and see if we can potentially offer incentives to get a project moved forward that, you know, maybe was considered but didn't make it across to installation in the past. And then, you know, once the audit's complete, again, we'll work with your preferred vendor. We also have, you know, turnkey assistance available through Willdan to help get these projects installed and then start enjoying the ongoing savings, which is the last step. Okay. And then to wrap up here, I just wanted to highlight, you know, some of the various buckets that we'll look at in terms of energy saving measures and opportunities. So, you know, really, we can support most energy saving endeavors within schools as long as, you know, they're supported through PG&E. But as you can see by the categories, it's pretty broad and comprehensive. So we can assist with HVAC, even kitchen cafeteria equipment. There's some excellent savings opportunities if you're considering replacing some kitchen equipment. And of course, you know, changing out to LEDs and all the rest. So happy to work through all those details with those who are interested. I think that's all I had for our slides. Carolyn, I'll pass it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Alex. And so really just to wrap up, you know, in terms of next steps, I think just feel free to reach out to Alex or myself if you have any questions about what we talked about today. If you're interested in getting signed up for any of the program that Alex talked about. But either way, we're happy to just hop on a call to talk about some of your facility and financial goals. We can assist with through the GK12 program. If you're not in PG&E, we are happy to help other districts that are not in PG&E territory and do so at no cost, kind of in these initial planning stages. So again, feel free to reach out. Our contact is on this last slide. And I did want to talk about the giveaway that I wanted to do. I don't know if for those that are still on, feel free to get into the chat and get ready to type. And so the trivia question is, on the slide where I've had the picture of Tom Cruise that said, "Show me the money," what movie is that from? The first person to type it in the chat will get the free gift card. Still waiting.
There it is.
See it on my side. Oh, there it is, Renee, Jerry McGuire. Thank you, Renee. You are correct. we will get your address to send you a, you know what, I think we can actually send it through email, the Amazon gift card. So we will send you the Amazon gift card. But before we wrap up, is there any need or any questions, any need to have a discussion right now, or are there any questions out there that you want to ask? Otherwise, we can always follow up with a phone call.
I'll probably reach out directly so we can just chat about some specifics instead.
Absolutely. All right, anybody else? Well, you know, our goal was to not take up too much of your time, and we hope this information was helpful. And we hope you are leaving with some ideas to take back to the district. And again, if you have any questions, please feel to reach out to myself or Alex, and we'd be happy to follow up.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Carolyn and Alex, so much. And thank you to everybody who attended today's webinar. We'll be sending out a recording of this later today or tomorrow as well.
Thank you, Corey. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks all.
Stay cool
Thank you
out
all
there.
so much. Have a great rest of your day.